The yard at Ironwood Maximum Security Prison is a concrete oven under the midday sun. Dust hangs in the air like smoke from a battlefield. Inmates move in slow, deliberate circles, predators sizing up prey, prey trying not to look like prey. Then the side door opens. A new man steps out. Shackles clink with each measured step. Orange jumpsuit still crisp, shoulders square, eyes forward. Not scanning for threats, not shrinking, just present. Victor Reaper Kane watches from the shaded bleachers. 6'5", tattooed neck to knuckles, life sentence for triple homicide. He runs this place. Drugs flow through his veins into every corner. Guards look the other way because he makes their shifts quieter. Today, fresh meat has arrived. Reaper stands. His crew, 6 hard men, fan out behind him like shadows. They move as one. The yard quiets. Conversations die mid-sentence. Even the basketball stops bouncing. Reaper steps into the new man's path. Voice low, gravel and menace. "Fresh cop meat. Heard you used to wear a badge. That true?" The new inmate stops, looks up, calm, no flinch, no bravado. "Was." Reaper smirks, leans in close enough for the new man to smell the tobacco on his breath. "Ex-cops don't last long here. They break fast, or they bleed slow. Your choice." He shoves, hard, open palm to the chest, the kind of shove that sends most men stumbling back 5 feet. The new man doesn't move. Feet planted, body absorbs the force like water absorbs a stone. He simply exhales, slow, controlled, and holds Reaper's gaze. The yard goes dead silent. Reaper blinks. Surprise flickers, then rage. He draws back a fist the size of a ham. Before the punch lands, the new man speaks. Quiet, almost polite. "You really want to do this on day one?" Reaper freezes, fist still cocked. Something in those steady eyes makes the hair on his neck stand up. Then he laughs, forced, loud, to cover the hesitation. Big words for a man about to eat dirt. He swings. The new man slips left, just enough. The fist cuts air. In the same breath, his open palm drives upward into Reaper's solar plexus. Not full power, just enough. Reaper doubles over. Air explodes from his lungs in a wet cough. Knees buckle. He drops to one knee, gasping. The crew steps forward. The new man raises one hand, palm out, not threatening, just clear. "I didn't come here to fight, but I won't be your entertainment either." He steps around the gasping gang leader like he's stepping around a puddle. The yard stays frozen. No one moves. No one speaks. But as the new man walks toward the far wall, a single voice cuts through the silence. His cellmate from intake, a skinny kid doing 5 years. "Who the hell is that guy?" The answer comes in whispers that spread like fire through dry grass. Marcus Hale, framed detective, betrayed by his own partner, locked away for 15 years on charges that never should have stuck. And he just made the most dangerous man in Ironwood look small on his very first day. What you're about to hear is the story of a man who spent over a decade inside these walls, a man who watched, learned, built alliances in silence, planned every move like a chess master playing against time itself. Because betrayal doesn't just break you. Sometimes it forges something colder, sharper, unbreakable. And when the moment finally came, the entire prison felt it. And if stories of betrayal turned into cold, calculated justice hit you hard, if you believe the system sometimes needs a man willing to burn it from the inside, then hit that subscribe button right now. This video took more than 25 hours of research, outlining, and careful writing to bring to life. Don't let that effort disappear in the algorithm. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Let's keep these stories alive. Now, let's go back to the beginning. The day Marcus Hale's world ended. Betrayed by the one person you trusted with your life. Would you break under the weight? Or become the storm they never saw coming? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. Marcus Hale had spent 12 years on the force building a reputation few could touch. Clean arrests, high conviction rate. The kind of detective who showed up to crime scenes in a cheap suit and left with the case cracked. His partner, Ray Colton, was the loud one. Big laugh, bigger stories, always ready with a beer after shift. They were brothers in blue. Or so Marcus thought. It started small, evidence logs that didn't quite match, cash from a bust that vanished before it hit the locker. Marcus noticed. He asked questions. Colton laughed them off at first. Then the questions turned serious. Marcus pulled bank records, found deposits that matched the missing cash, confronted Colton in an empty precinct parking lot at 2 a.m. "You're playing with fire, Mark. I'm not the one stealing." Colton's face changed. No more easy grin, just cold calculation. 2 weeks later, Marcus was arrested at his own front door. Handcuffs clicked in front of his wife and kids. The charges: corruption, bribery, conspiracy. Planted cash in his garage. Fake witnesses. Emails doctored to look like he'd been taking payoffs for years. Colton testified against him. Tears in his eyes for the jury. I tried to stop him. He wouldn't listen. The trial lasted 9 days. Marcus watched the jury's faces harden with every piece of manufactured evidence. His lawyer fought hard, but the deck was stacked. Guilty on all counts. 15 years. No parole eligibility for the first 10. The courtroom doors closed behind him like a coffin lid. Ironwood maximum security received him on a gray October morning. The transport van rolled through double gates topped with razor wire. Inside the sally port, guards barked orders: strip, squat, cough, hands on the wall. The ritual designed to strip dignity before the bars even close. Marcus kept his eyes level. No trembling, no pleading. He'd interviewed enough inmates to know the playbook. Show weakness early and the yard owns you forever. They issued him number 478-291. Orange jumpsuit, black boots with no laces, a thin mattress rolled under one arm. He walked the long concrete corridor to Block C, upper tier. Every step echoed. Eyes tracked him from cells. Whispers followed. New fish. Cop. Dead man walking. His cell was 6 by 8. Bottom bunk already claimed by a wiry kid named Diego. First offense, armed robbery, 3 years left. Diego looked up from a dog-eared paperback. "You the cop?" "Ex-cop," Diego snorted. "Same difference in here. Keep your head down. Reaper runs this block. You cross him, you're done." Victor Reaper Kane's name came up in every conversation that first day. Life without parole. 3 bodies before prison, dozens more ordered from inside. He controlled the phones, the commissary flow, the protection rackets. Guards took envelopes to look the other way. Inmates paid tribute in candy bars, stamps, or blood. Marcus met the man himself that afternoon in the yard. Reaper held court under the only shade, an overhang near the weight pile. 6 enforcers flanked him. Tattoos crawled up his neck like black vines. He watched Marcus walk the perimeter, sizing him up. One of Reaper's men, a thick-necked brute called Toro, stepped into Marcus's path. New guy pays respect. 50 commissary a month, or we collect another way. Marcus stopped, looked Toro in the eye. I don't pay protection. Toro grinned, cracked his knuckles. Wrong answer. He shoved Marcus hard toward the fence. Marcus let the momentum carry him back 2 steps, then planted his feet. Didn't swing, didn't yell, just stood. Toro rushed. Marcus sidestepped, caught Toro's wrist on the follow-through, twisted just enough to lock the joint. Toro grunted, dropped to one knee. Marcus released instantly and stepped back. The yard went quiet for 3 heartbeats. Reaper stood slowly, watched the exchange. No anger on his face yet, just interest. Interesting, he said, voice carrying across the concrete. Cop knows how to move. Marcus met his gaze across 30 yards. I know enough. Reaper nodded once, turned away. The message was clear. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. That night in the cell, Diego whispered from the top bunk. You just painted a target on your back. Marcus lay on the thin mattress, hands behind his head, staring at the cracked ceiling. I already had one. The next morning he found the library, a small room with metal shelves and faded paperbacks. An older inmate named Ellis ran it. Lifer, quiet, former accountant who'd been caught cooking books for the wrong people. Ellis had access to the prison's internal network through an unsecured terminal the guards never bothered to lock. Marcus asked for law books. Ellis slid him a stack without question. You digging for appeals? Not exactly. Ellis studied him for a long moment. You're not the first cop to walk in here innocent. Most break, some don't. You look like the second kind. Marcus took the books back to his cell, started reading. Not for a new trial, for leverage. When in the yard he found the Marine, Callahan, 20 years in for manslaughter. Built like a tank, but disciplined. Callahan ran calisthenics every morning near the fence. Marcus joined him silently. No words at first. Just push-ups, pull-ups, squats. After a week, Callahan spoke. You move like you've trained. Some. Need more than some if Reaper decides you're a problem. I know. Callahan nodded. Stick around. I'll show you what works in tight spaces. In the chow hall, Marcus met Ruiz, the hacker. Mid-30s, pale, serving 12 for cyber fraud. Ruiz sat alone, always scribbling on legal pads. Marcus slid onto the bench across from him. You the one who can read files nobody else sees? Ruiz looked up, wary. Depends who's asking. Someone who needs to know who's connected to who. Ruiz studied him, then slid a folded paper across the table. Start here. Names, dates, transfers. Reaper's got friends outside these walls. Big ones. Marcus unfolded it. Saw Colton's name halfway down the page. His jaw tightened. Just once. That night he lay awake while the block snored. The betrayal wasn't fresh anymore. It had hardened into something else. Something patient. He wasn't going to beg for early release. He wasn't going to run to protective custody. He was going to take the empire apart brick by brick, starting with the man who thought he owned the prison, and ending with the one who thought he'd gotten away clean. Weeks turned into months. The initial shove in the yard wasn't forgotten. Reaper didn't strike back immediately. He watched, tested, sent probes. First real move came in the chow hall 3 weeks in. Marcus carried his tray, gray mystery meat, watery potatoes, stale roll. He headed for an empty spot near the wall. Toro and two others blocked his path. Toro smiled wide. Forgot something, cop. Respect tax. Empty your pockets or we empty your tray. Marcus stopped, looked at the food, then at Toro. I eat standing if I have to. Toro laughed, reached for the tray. Marcus set it down on the nearest table first, deliberate, calm. Then he stepped inside Toro's reach. Not aggressive, just close enough. Toro grabbed for his collar. Marcus caught the wrist mid-air, twisted outward in a small circle. Joint lock. Toro's elbow hyperextended, and he yelped, went to his knees. The tray stayed balanced. The other two froze. Marcus released, picked up his tray again, walked past them to the table. Saturday. 8. The entire line watched in silence. Word reached Reaper before dessert was served. That night, Diego whispered from the top bunk. You just embarrassed Toro in front of half the block. Reaper's gonna want that blood back. Marcus stared at the ceiling. Let him come. Second test arrived in the showers the following Tuesday. Steam thick, water weak. Marcus stood under the spray, back to the wall, eyes on the entrance. 3 men entered, Reaper's cleanup crew. No words, just towels wrapped around fists. Brass knuckles improvised from soap bars in socks. They spread out, blocked the exit. Lead man, scar across his cheek, called Razor, spoke first. Boss says you need a lesson in hierarchy. Marcus turned off the water, dried his hands slowly on the thin towel. I've had lessons. Didn't like the teacher. Razor lunged, fist aimed at the temple. Marcus ducked, drove an elbow into Razor's floating ribs. Crack. Razor gasped, staggered. Second man charged from the side. Haymaker swing. Marcus caught the arm, redirected momentum, slammed the man face first into the tile wall. Nose broke. Blood mixed with water on the floor. Third man hesitated, then rushed anyway. Marcus sidestepped, swept the leg, dropped him hard on his back. Air whooshed out. Marcus stepped over him, picked up his towel, walked out. No guards arrived for 10 minutes. When they did, they found 3 men groaning on wet tile and 1 inmate already dressed and heading back to his cell. When Sergeant Mills, Reaper's favorite on the payroll, wrote it up as inmate altercation, no clear aggressor. Marcus got 48 hours in the hole anyway. Standard procedure. Solitary was 8 by 10. Concrete bed. Steel toilet. Slot for food. Darkness if they killed the light. Marcus sat cross-legged on the floor. Breathed slow. Used the time to think. He reviewed every detail he'd gathered so far. Callahan had shown him pressure points that worked in handcuffs. Ruiz had slipped him printouts, transfer logs showing money moving from Reaper's commissary accounts to an outside account linked to Colton. Small amounts, regular, bribes or kickbacks, enough to start connecting dots. When the door opened 48 hours later, Callahan was waiting in the corridor. Thought you might need a workout partner. They hit the yard. No words about the hole. Just burpees, shadowboxing, bag work on the heavy bag chained to the fence. Callahan corrected form. Faster on the pivot. Prison fights don't give you room for wind-up. Marcus nodded. Absorbed it. Third test came in the yard 2 months later. Reaper's lieutenant, Biggs, 6'4", former heavyweight boxer, approached during rec hour. No crew this time. Just him. Boss wants a word. Walk with me. Marcus kept doing pull-ups on the bar. Tell him I'm busy. Biggs cracked his neck. Wasn't a request. He grabbed Marcus's shoulder, yanked. Marcus dropped from the bar, spun, used Biggs's own momentum to drive a knee into his midsection. Biggs doubled. Marcus hooked an arm, took him down in a controlled throw, landed on top in mount, forearm across the throat, not crushing, just enough pressure. Biggs tapped once, eyes wide. Marcus stood, and offered a hand up. Biggs ignored it. Got to his feet slowly. Rubbed his throat. "You're dead, cop." Marcus walked away. That evening, Ruiz found him in the library stacks. "Reaper's pissed. Word is he's calling in markers. Guys from Block A, some lifers. Even talking to the Aryan crew. He's building something big." Marcus closed the law book he'd been reading. "How many?" 20, maybe more. They're promising territory when it's done." Marcus nodded once. Ruiz hesitated. "You're not running?" "No." Ruiz exhaled. "Then you better be ready, because when Reaper moves, he moves heavy." Marcus looked at the barred window. Sunlight slanted through in thin gold bars. "I've been ready since the day they clicked the cuffs." The next morning, Callahan pulled him aside near the fence. "You've got respect now. A few guys willing to stand with you if it pops off. Not many, but some." Marcus met his eyes. "I don't want an army. I want precision." Callahan smiled thin. "Precision against 20 animals. Good luck." Marcus didn't smile back. He didn't need luck. He needed time. And time was the one thing prison gave in endless supply. Every night he reviewed the pieces. Colton's signature on transfer forms. Reaper's crew doing collections for him outside. A hit ordered 3 years ago that matched an unsolved case from Marcus's old files. The web was tightening. Reaper thought he was hunting. He didn't realize he was already caught. The confrontations had only been warm-ups. The real storm was coming. And when it hit, Marcus would be standing exactly where he needed to be. One man. One plan. 15 years of patience about to pay dividends. The whispers started small. A nod in the chow line. A glance in the yard. Then they grew. Reaper was moving pieces. Marcus felt it before he heard it. The air in Block C changed. Conversations dropped when he passed. Eyes lingered longer, some with respect, most with pity. Diego confirmed it first. "Reaper's calling in every favor he's got. Block A's sending muscle. The Aryans are in for a cut of the commissary pie. Even the Mexican crew, guys who usually won't touch his people, are talking. He's promising big. Territory. Protection. A piece of whatever Colton's feeding him from the outside." Marcus folded his arms against the cold cell wall. "How many?" 25. Maybe 30 if the lifers bite. They're saying it's happening soon. Cafeteria. Midday count. Full view. No hiding." Marcus nodded once. Diego paced the small cell. "Well, you're not getting it, man. This isn't Toro or Biggs. This is an army. They'll swarm you. Knives, shanks, numbers. You can't fight 30 men." "I'm not planning to fight 30 men." Diego stopped. Looked at him. "Then what?" 30 men are going to fight each other." Diego didn't understand. Marcus didn't explain. The next day, Ruiz slipped him the final packet in the library stacks. A thin sheaf of printed emails, bank transfers, recorded call logs, all routed through the unsecured terminal Ellis still controlled. Colton's name appeared again and again. Payments to Reaper's outside accounts. Dates matching unsolved hits from Marcus's old case files. A voice memo, grainy but clear enough. Colton's voice promising cleanup if Reaper handled a witness. Marcus read every line twice, and then folded the papers into a small square and tucked them inside his waistband under the jumpsuit elastic. Ruiz watched him. You've got enough to bury them both. Why wait? Because burying them from inside isn't enough. I want them to watch each other fall first. Ruiz exhaled. You're playing a dangerous game. Marcus almost smiled. I've had 15 years to learn the rules. Callahan found him later in the yard. They walked the fence line together. Slow laps, voices low. Word is Reaper's got the green light from the sergeant. Guards will be slow to respond. Maybe look the other way entirely. Marcus kept his pace steady. They always do. Callahan glanced sideways. I've got 4 guys solid. Me, Ruiz if he's forced, 2 others from the weight pile. We can flank you. Buy time. Marcus shook his head. No army, no spectacle. But if blood spills, it's on me, not you. Callahan stopped walking. You're really doing this alone? I've never been alone. I've just been patient. Callahan studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Respect. But if it goes south, don't expect miracles. I don't believe in miracles. I believe in leverage. That night, the cell block felt different, quieter, heavier. Even the usual shouts and metal clangs seemed muted. Diego couldn't sleep. He hung over the edge of the top bunk. They're coming tomorrow. Everyone knows it. The whole damn prison's holding its breath. Marcus lay flat, hands behind his head. Then let them come. Aren't you scared? Even a little? Marcus considered the question, not dismissively, honestly. Fear's information. It tells you the stakes are real, but it doesn't get to decide what happens next. Diego was quiet for a while. You really think you can take them? I think the plan is already in motion. They just don't know it yet. Morning arrived with unnatural stillness. Cell doors rolled open at 6 a.m. Inmates moved slower than usual, heads down, no eye contact. The guards felt it too, hands resting closer to batons, radios checked twice. Marcus rose early, folded his blanket with hospital corners, did 50 push-ups, 50 squats, stretched every joint, then dressed in the jumpsuit like it was armor. Diego watched from his bunk. You're too calm. Calm is the weapon. Breakfast line moved in silence. Marcus took his tray, same gray slop, and sat at a central table. Not corner, not near guards. Dead center, visible from every angle. Reaper's usual spot was already full. And his crew expanded. New faces, hard eyes, tattoos from rival sets. They didn't hide the stares. Marcus ate methodically, one bite at a time, never looking up, but he felt every pair of eyes. Ruiz slid onto the bench across from him, voice barely above a whisper. 32. Confirmed. They're waiting for the count to finish. Then they move. Marcus nodded once. Tell Callahan thanks, but stay back. Ruiz swallowed. This is suicide. No, this is checkmate. Ruiz left without another word. The morning count dragged. Guards called numbers. Inmates answered. Tension coiled tighter with each name. When the last clear echoed over the PA, the cafeteria doors stayed open. No one moved to leave. Reaper stood first, slowly, deliberately. His crew rose with him. Then the others, waves from every corner of the room, and 32 men converging on one table in the center. Marcus set his spoon down, wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. Stood. He didn't run. He didn't shout. He simply waited. Reaper stepped forward through the forming circle, voice carrying across the room. "Time's up, cop. You had your fun. Now we finish it." Marcus met his eyes. "You sure about that?" Reaper smirked. 30 against 1. What's your move?" Marcus's voice stayed even. "My move was made 15 years ago. You're just walking into it." The circle tightened. Shanks glinted under fluorescent lights. Knuckles cracked. The air tasted like metal and sweat. Reaper raised a hand. The first wave moved, and the storm finally broke. The circle closed like a noose. 32 men, shanks in fists, eyes hungry for the kill. Reaper stepped to the front, smirk gone, replaced by something colder. "Last chance, cop. Kneel, beg. Maybe I let you walk away bleeding instead of dead." Marcus stood motionless in the center, tray still on the table behind him, hands loose at his sides. "You talk too much." Reaper signaled. The first wave surged, 5 men rushing from different angles, knives flashing. Marcus moved. He didn't charge. He flowed. First attacker swung high. Marcus ducked under, drove a palm heel into the man's throat. Cartilage crunched. The man dropped, choking. Second came low. Shank aimed at the gut. Marcus caught the wrist, twisted, used the man's momentum to hurl him into the third attacker. Bodies collided. Both went down. The circle tightened. More rushed in. Marcus pivoted. Elbow to jaw. Knee to groin. Open hand strike to solar plexus. Every move precise. Minimal effort. Maximum effect. He used their numbers against them. Bodies became obstacles, blocking follow-up attacks. Callahan appeared on the edge, not joining the fray, just close enough to shove one attacker off balance when he got too near Marcus. Ruiz did the same from the other side. Small interventions, enough to disrupt rhythm without turning it into open war. Reaper watched, face darkening. "Enough! All at once!" The rest poured in. Chaos erupted. Marcus became a blur in the storm. He slipped between strikes, redirected arms, swept legs, struck pressure points that dropped men instantly. One shank grazed his arm, blood welled, but he didn't slow. He grabbed the wielder's wrist, snapped it backward, took the blade, and then tossed it aside. A massive Aryan enforcer charged like a bull. Marcus sidestepped, hooked the ankle, sent him crashing into 3 others. The pileup bought seconds. He kept moving toward Reaper. Reaper finally stepped in. No more proxies. He swung a haymaker. Marcus blocked with forearms, absorbed the shock, countered with a rising elbow to the chin. Reaper's head snapped back, blood from split lip. Reaper roared, grabbed Marcus in a bear hug, lifted him off the ground, squeezed. Ribs creaked. Marcus drove thumbs into nerve clusters under Reaper's armpits. Grip loosened. Marcus dropped, swept the legs. Reaper hit the floor hard. Marcus straddled him, forearm across the throat, not choking, controlling. He leaned in close, voice low. Only Reaper could hear. "I know about Colton. The payments. The hits. Well, the witness you took out 3 years ago. I have it all. And it's already gone. Sent to the right people. Your empire ends today. His ends tomorrow." Reaper's eyes widened. Rage turned to fear. "You're bluffing." Marcus pressed just enough to make the point. "Am I?" Guards finally burst in. Riot gear, batons raised, tear gas canisters ready. But the fight was over. Men groaned on the floor, some unconscious, some clutching broken limbs. Reaper lay pinned, breathing ragged. Marcus stood slowly. Hands up, no resistance. Guards swarmed, cuffed Reaper first, then the others. Marcus they handled last, gentler than expected. Sergeant Mills looked at the wreckage, then at Marcus. "What the hell happened here?" Marcus met his eyes. "Disagreement over respect." Mills almost laughed. Almost. In the weeks that followed, the prison shifted. As Reaper's crew fractured, alliances dissolved. The feds arrived quietly, tipped by Ruiz's final upload. Raids outside. Arrests. Colton's name hit the news. Disgraced detective. Corruption probe reopened. Marcus served the remaining time in relative peace. No more tests. No more taxes. He taught Callahan's group basic self-defense in the yard. Showed Ruiz how to channel anger into focus. Even Diego started reading law books. Release day came on a clear spring morning. Gates rolled open. Marcus walked out in civilian clothes. Thin folder under his arm, copies of every document he'd gathered. He paused at the threshold, looked back once at the concrete fortress that had tried to break him. It hadn't. He stepped forward into sunlight. Colton was still out there, still breathing free air. Not for long. The real payback was just beginning. While betrayal had forged him, now justice would finish the job. Never underestimate a man who's had 15 years to plan. Sometimes the quiet ones aren't broken. They're just waiting. What would you do on the day the gates finally open? With proof in your hand and a name still left to settle? Would you walk away clean or finish what they started? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If this story of betrayal, patience, and cold justice moved you, hit subscribe. These tales take hours of digging and crafting to get right. Don't let them vanish in the scroll. Subscribe now. Turn on the bell. Let's keep exposing the truth. Thanks for watching.